Okay guys, here with another deck profile. This time we're revisiting my Soul deck with a couple of the changes I had made to it with the Echoes of the New World set. So we'll go ahead and get just right into it. So obviously we have Soul for the ruler here. He has Judgment of 3 and Energize for either red or blue, and he starts with 2 mana counters, and he can produce red or blue for ancient magic cards. So that comes in real handy with the deck, being able to do red and blue, not just with the cards themselves, but the ancient magic. You have that sort of freedom. So we'll start with the stone deck first. First I run obviously 4 of the Magic Stone of Vaporization. So this is the stone that pairs with Soul that you can tap for an ability to put a mana counter on your J-Ruler for 1 void, which is really nice. If you don't have cards in your hand to play, you still have something you can do with the stones to build up mana counters as you go along. And yeah, it just produces red or blue. Obviously we have the Magic Stone of Hearth's core that produces red or blue to go with that. And lastly, we have 2 of the Burning Water Magic Stone that produces red, and you can remove a counter off of it to produce a blue. These are the Vengulf 3 stones. The reason I run these is because I don't have anything in my deck that correlates to specific magic stone, having to have the card identify as a magic stone. So having the consistency of always, no matter what, being able to produce red or blue, no matter what, is just nice to have in the deck. So going into the deck, we'll start with Chance. First we have 2 standby cards I run. I run 2 of Memory of Flame, so this is nice to combo off of different cards, especially World Flame Summoning and different things like that. Just to do that extra damage is awesome. And I run 2 of Prison in the Lunar Lake. This is mainly due to so I guess I lied. This is the only thing that technically goes off of magic stones, but it's not that big a deal. It costs 2 to put in the standby, so by that point you have at least 1 stone when it triggers. But it's to counter things, mainly hook, because them hooking my stone area before I'm able to J-activate is extremely painful. Or bouncing Resonators isn't that big of a deal in this deck, but it's mainly I gotta protect my stone area, so I run them just in case. And plus being able to cancel stuff just because is always good. I run 4 of Ancient Heartfelt Fire, so this is important for the deck because not only is it an ancient magic, so you're able to play it for free essentially with his passive ability, you're able to have multiple options, so you can either do the 1 cost to deal 400 damage to a Resonator, which is good early game. I usually like to do that to Sacred Elves or different cheap Resonators like that. Or I can put 3 counters on my J-Ruler, so this helps with a quick ramp up, which as you'll see is a really big deal in this deck, is wrapping up quickly and doing as much damage and as much destruction as you can as quickly as possible. One of the ways they do that is by running 4 World Flame Summoning. So this is a 6 cost ancient magic, and I get to choose 2 of these abilities. I can either have my opponent banish a special magic stone, deal 800 damage to each Resonator they control, or 800 damage to the opponent directly, or 1500 damage to a J-Ruler. So that's a nice plethora of options. The options I usually choose is 800 to the field and have them banish a special magic stone. And usually if this deck works properly, which it usually consistently is, I'm able to play this card by turn 2 and wipe anything they have on the field and have them get set back a stone, which is always really good to have. And then only takes usually an extra turn to ramp up, so you have a cooldown period. Your next turn, maybe run some Ancient Heartfelt Fires to ramp yourself up again, put some Resonators down, and then the following turn play another World Flame Summoning to set them back yet another stone, clear the field again, different things like that. And if during that off phase you're able to put in Memory of the Flame in your standby area, suddenly you're dealing 1400 to their field, as well as banishing a magic stone, or 1400 to the field and 1400 to their face, different things like that. Next I run 3 Rune of Souls, so once again an ancient magic with quick cast, and so it's nice because it's only 2 costs with quick cast, and I'm able to search my deck for any ancient magic card I want. So whether that be World Flame Summoning, one of the other cards I run, it's just a good search tool to have, especially since this deck relies so heavily on World Flame Summoning and Invitation of Disaster. So Invitation of Disaster I run 3 of. It's a 3 cost ancient magic as well, and it can either do 800 damage to target Resonator or 800 damage to target opponent. If you awaken it, which costs an extra 8, it'll do 2,000 damage instead. So either 2,000 damage to a Resonator or 2,000 damage to your opponent. So as you can imagine, just playing an awakened version of this, so 22 ancient magic total, you win the game essentially by doing 4,000 damage to your opponent. And that's not that hard to get to. Just by J activating, you'll be getting 10 counters on top of the 2 you start with. So that's 1 right off the bat, just for a 3-cost judgment if you have the right card. And so you just need those extra counters for, or tapping regular stones to do that extra little bit of payment you need. And the last chant I run is 2 Severing Winds. Probably should run more. I'm still figuring out maybe, but it's just good because it just slots into any deck, and being able to run a cancel inside of a red-blue deck is really nice because it has the ability of, if your opponent played 2 or more cards this turn, you get to play this card for free, and it cancels target spell. So if your opponent played a card, the minute they play a second card, you can cancel it, or you can hold it back and wait to cancel a 3rd or 4th card. And it works on anything, Resonators, chants, and all that. So it's a really good card to have just in any deck. You'll start to see probably most of my decks running forward are going to just be running a lot of these inside of them. Moving on to the Resonators. So first, obviously, I run 4 Runic Commander Demon Akiot. So it goes with the J Ruler. When it comes into the field, it puts a counter on him, and you can bounce him back by playing a spell. And he's important for your judgment, because if you judgment and discard him in your removed area, if he's in your hand, it gives you an extra amount of counters, and it buffs your J Ruler +6/+6. So it's important to have him in hand, because it's very important for that ramp up to have him in your hand when you judgment. Next, I run 3 Catalyst Spirit. It's an awesome, just 2-cost 6/6 card, and you can banish it to put 2 counters on your J Ruler. So I like it because I can put him on the field and just swing for damage block, and anytime it's about to die, or I think it's going to die, anything like that, I can just in response banish it and put 2 counters on my J Ruler to help with the ramp up. Next, I run 3 Servant of Mercurius. So he's just straightforward 1-cost 2/2 Resonator. When he enters the field, I put a ancient magic counter on my J Ruler, and I can remove a counter to buff him +3/+3. So helps with the ramp up, and if need be, a lot of times opponents forget about that buff, so you can block and buff in order to kill certain Resonators and different things like that. Next, I run 3 Combat Wizard. Same idea, 1-cost 3/2, puts a mana counter in your J Ruler. You can remove a counter to give it swiftness. I pretty much never do that because I just want him for the ramp up, and removing that counter is not worth it just to do 3 damage unless that's really needed. Next, I run 3 of Luna's Attendant. This is one of the new cards from Echoes of the New World, so it's a 2-cost 5/5 Ancient Wizard. And it has, the main reason I want it, it's not bad for a 2-cost 5/5, but it has a 1-cost ability where target J Resonator gains barrier until end of turn. And you can spend Ancient Magic to activate that 1 cost. So suddenly, you're able to give barrier to any of your Resonators in the field. So you can do that to your J Ruler. You can always instinctively do that, like, I guess it wouldn't work all the time, but at the beginning of your turn, at the beginning of your opponent's turn, just constantly do it to try and avoid being moonbeamed. Like I said, that wouldn't always work, but you know, you could try. But just being able to passively always give barrier in response to different things and protect your things, especially by being able to use Ancient Magic so you can do it essentially for free, is really awesome, and it's going to be a great addition to this deck. Next, I run 2 Twin-Headed Dragons. So I really like this card, even though not a lot of people don't, but I do. It's a 4-cost 1,000 dragon with flying, and you can awaken it, and you can pay the awakening once again with Ancient Magic. And you can either awaken it to have it deal 1,000 damage to target Resonator, and you could do both awakenings if you want. You can awaken it to rest 2 Resonators your opponent controls, and they don't recover during their next recoveries phase. So for 4 cost and essentially for free, you can kill Resonator and rest 2 on top of that. So it's just great to have. Obviously later game, it always comes in handy later game. It's obviously very bad to have early game because of its high cost, but yeah. And lastly, I run Luna, Magician of the Moonstar. So this is another Echoes of the New World edition. So it's a 3-cost 8/8 Mage Resonator. and it has mana of 4. So it's the first Resonator. When it comes in, it has 4 mana counters on it that produce blue for ancient magic. So it helps once again with that ramp up. You pay 3 to play her, and she's already paying you back immediately with that 4. So you can immediately start World Flame Summoning, perhaps, the void cost on it at least, or Invitation to Disaster, you can pay the void on that with it, different things like that. So I'm pretty excited about it. It's pretty awesome. But yeah, this is a pretty straightforward video, since like I said, I've already done the deck profile, so it's mainly showing what I've added, and you can sort of decipher what I've taken out. And yeah, you can sort of look at the old deck profile, and maybe you'll disagree with some of the changes I made in order to fit these in, and maybe switch it up how you want to. But I'm pretty excited to start playing this at my locals. Sol has been my favorite deck so far. But yeah,